Welcome to PAO Fans International. You're joined by Panathafan and Nick. Welcome, boys.
Good evening.
Evening, boys. Good to be back.
Yes, it's a little bit of just a 1 week hiatus, but you're back. How's everyone going? How's everyone feeling?
Good, tired, long season. Easter coming up as well. So Kali Anastasi, Kalo Pascha to everyone listening. Other than that, all good.
It's good to be on a podcast with two wins in a row in the playoffs under our belt. Makes it a hell of a lot easier to be talking tonight, that's for sure.
Rare, isn't it, for the playoffs? The last couple of years, it's normally the time where we shit the bed. Now, when the pressure's off, we pick up the wins in these derbies in the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the ghosts of chasing that first place is beyond us. Um, so we're not too deflated, but let's kick things off straight away. Because these playoff times are not friendly for the anyone from Australia. They're getting worse and worse. It will be worse when the next three remaining games are. But let's kick things off with this morning's result. Panathinaikos played. Opa. Panathinaikos playing PAOK.
I couldn't hear it before. Now I can.
And that's the sign of positive, just a good result. Panathinaikos defeated PAOK 3-1, courtesy of a double from Unahi, the first one in the 33rd minute, where there was a high up press from Jurisic winning the ball. Became a 3-on-1. He drew the defender, played Swideski. Swideski, perfect pass. Um, Almost to an empty net for Unahi. Just had the easy job of obviously following up, making that run as all, and placing it. The second goal came from another counter attack as all, from a corner where Shoppies had the ball, broke through. He was going more to his right, and he just did like a back heel, changed direction, found Unahi in space. Unahi beat the right back with a nice bit of skill, and his deflected shot in the 42nd minute doubled the lead. Then Swideski in the 50th minute, courtesy of Swideski. Vayanidis started it with a pass to Unahi, who did a brilliant backheel to find Vayanidis in space. Vayanidis with an inch perfect pass to Swideski. Uh, Very uncharacteristic of Bulk, just leaving him unmarked. He just had the easy job of heading in. Then Bulk gave us a late scare through Costandelias to make it 3-1 in the 78th minute, where from our own corner, Shopis just tripped over the ball. Bulk went on a break. I think it was Tyson who just played like a sideways pass for Costandelias for pretty much. He took a little bit of a weird touch, but eventually it just strolled in 3-1, and then that's about it. How did we see the game, fellas?
Far away, Nick.
Me?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, so first and foremost, delighted with the result. We will get onto the ramifications and all that with the 3 points and what it means for us. But no, can't complain. And it was interesting. At this time last week, we were on myself and you as well, Sturge, with Chris, and we were saying after the eighth win, the result was great. The performance wasn't. This time, the performance was great and it matched the result. I mean, we got what we wanted, and it was a throwback to the early Victoria days where it was a team that you could tell that we've done our homework, we're thoroughly prepared and ready for the threats that Bulk could pose, because we're worried. But Bulk were the form team of the playoffs up until this game, and we completely did a job on them. Defensively, very sound. We were not under threat at all in this game. So credit to Victoria and our back line. Other than the goal we copped, as you said, it was just a cheap giveaway. Shop is dispossessed. And after that, though, at 3-1, as you said, a minor scare, but Bulk barely laid a glove on us even after that. And it's funny, the goals we scored over the last few years, it feels like every goal PAOK has scored against us have been identical to that. We did a PAOK on PAOK with the goals we scored. Quick play, direct, counter-attacking, precise. The first goal especially, dispossessed, nice and high up the pitch, broke with numbers. And it's those guys like Zurisic, all the guys involved in that, Zurisic, Zviderski and Unai, brilliant footballers. They are, Unai especially, man of the match in this game. He's the best player not only at the club, he's the best player in Greece when he's on it. It's for him, it's all between the ears. It's a mental thing because talent-wise, he oozes it. And look, it's a separate discussion whether or not we keep him and price and that. But when he's on, he's in Greece, he's unplayable. As I said, definitely man of the match. Second goal, again, a nice counter, as you said, Sturge. And it was, I don't think it was an aimless ball forward to find Unai. I think that was deliberate. And he has that in his locker, even though it was deflected. He has a nice long shot on him. And especially at international level, he scored a fair few goals for Morocco just by shooting. Anytime he gets a sight on goal. And he was involved even in the third goal. He got the pre-assist that the back heel that set Vajanidis on his way for that inch-perfect cross and nice header by Zviderski, and 3-0, we're cruising. So we've got to do it again, and now one more win up at Tumba, and we've got one hand on second spot and the Champions League qualifying place.
Wait, did I say aimless pass? When
No, you didn't.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. All
I
right.
think it was deliberate, though.
No, it was definitely deliberate. Yeah, he
Let's drop this one.
found him in space. Yeah.
Other than that, home record. We've only lost in the league. We've only lost once all season at home. That was match day 1 to Asteras. Going back to July last year, our season started against Botev Plovdiv. The only teams that have beaten us at, crazy to say this, Fortress Oaka, Asteras match day 1 in Greece, Ajax, and Chelsea. That's it. If you had told us that in pre-season, we would have thought, what a season we've had. It's just a bloody away form. Our last away win, 16th of December, 2024. Over to you, Panathafan.
From my perspective, full credit to the man in the background picture yet again, and Rui Vitoria, for the way he set the team up and was able to play to our strengths and exploit the weaknesses of PAOK. We do match up well against them, as we've seen this season so far. Unlike AEK, where whilst we won 3-1, I think that they exposed a lot of our weaknesses. So in saying that, though, a win's a win. 3-1 is a very good win, and it was a very comfortable win. I do focus on the change of starting 11 from the AEK game and having Jurisic on the left and Pelistri on the right. For me, gave us more energy and defensive player ability in the team versus the week before. That there has been off or not in form, and I think that having Pelistri in is probably the right move from a starting 11 point of view, and that showed today. I know that it's been called out that there has been subject to criticism, but let's not discount what he's done all season with the number of goals and match-winning performances. So it's just right now, especially for the game against PAOK, I thought the starting 11 was spot on, and I think that even Sviderski starting ahead of Foti has been a master stroke as well. And the fact that Sviderski set up a goal, he scored a fantastic header off the cross. That he'd have to be right up there in the top 3 players today in terms of this game. So there's a lot of positives there, and a lot of positives in terms of, I think, Victoria starting to work out. And I know it's taken a while, but we've had new entrants to the team, we've had injuries. It's been quite unsettled, that starting 11. It seems like now we're settling on that starting 11 finally. My only concern for the return leg, and we'll talk about that a bit later on, is we are going to still be missing a couple of players, including Mladenovic as well, which does concern me greatly.
Yeah, this was definitely one of our best defensive performances. We gave PAOK pretty much no real chances. No, nothing. They got close to the box a couple of times in the box, but they really didn't do anything really. There was no time really that Jalgoski was really forced into a save where Paul could say they had a big chance, anything like that. Um, it was a really good performance, and Rui Vitoria alluded to that, that was the kind of form that we had in that period, that January, February, when we were just winning games when he came. It was very reminiscent of that today's performance. I thought a game of not too many chances from us, but we were just efficient again. Just like Ike, we were efficient. The
Yeah.
counter attack, everything. Um, I found it a bit weird from Bulk's the way Bulk lined up this one. So I agree, Panathafan, that we did line up very well, but I don't know if Bulk's been lining up 4-4-2 in their campaigns or if Lucescu just saved that for us. But they tried playing a compact 4-4-2 where they just gave us room on the wing, and we were able to do a lot of our threats making those wing runs. Um, I don't think 4-4-2 was the bulk way, and the way that they've lined up and have hurt us in the past, usually with that 4-3-3 with Despodov and um,
Zivkovic.
yeah, doing the damage versus us. Zivkovic was more right mid, and he wasn't playing as high up in those threatening positions where he's usually just gone on a run due to a counter attack. So, um, yeah, I don't think that formation really suited Bulk, and it really favored us as well a lot. And so, um, that was good to see. Yeah, a lot
I'll
of
tell you what, though, with Bulk, how about mate there for them today? It our mate, what's his face? Bloody Papa Dimitriou, blessed the way it all panned out. Absolutely blessed
I mean, look, he
to,
was
to miss out on mate there and land on Siopis instead.
look, Mete played physically, he was all right, but that's all he could do. I just think this season hasn't been right for him. Once he gets a proper preseason, I think he'll be a lot more dangerous. But yeah, so Siopis was good. He won quite a few fouls. He was forcing, especially Costandelias to foul him. Um, Vainidis was also very good. Got to give credit to Vainidis. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
good. Pelici was getting a lot better as the game was going on. A lot of the Jurisic was early on very well. Mladenovic was okay-ish. He is suspended next game, but so is Ozdoev,
Mm.
their midfielder. So that's a I think that's a bigger out for them, especially in that midfield. Um, so kind of balances out. We've got Max that can come in. They'll have maybe Schwab or someone else that can come in and do the job for them if effective. But um, yeah, I really thought it was a really good performance. Something that we got the week off with due to Easter, but it's something that we can carry on to Tumba, knowing that in Athens that they can't beat us, and we put three past them. So it's a big
Mm.
psychological boost. Uh, and you look at the table as well, what that does for us in the table. So Olympiacos beating AEK 1-0 gifted them the title. Um, so we won't really focus on them. But the battle for second position, we talked about this last week, Nick, where if we got the win and we kind of
Yeah,
expect Olympiacos to do the
yeah,
job,
yeah.
I said it would be about that 75% chance of um getting that all
Yeah.
important second spot. And we're 3 points clear of Ike. We've got just the tiebreaker just because we've beaten them
We,
twice to their one.
twice.
The important thing is we're 4 points clear of PAOK, and even if we lose and 10-0 and we finish the same points as them, we will finish above them due to the head-to-head tiebreaker beating them twice. So
There's two wins,
yeah,
which they can't match.
no. So
And a point now up at Tumba, it keeps them at arm's length.
Yep.
We'll be 4 points ahead of them with 2 games to go, and I can't see Ike getting even a point against Olympiacos. Then we open the gap to Ike with Ike to 4 as well. So what I'm trying to say, go up to Tumba, treat it as a must win, go there with a mentality to win. But if you draw, it's okay. It's a must not lose.
Yeah. Essentially, a win will give us pretty much
Oh, a win
90%
90 to 99%. Yeah.
chance.
And I think we can win. I'm
Of course,
confident that we
of
can
course,
win.
of course.
We played them with
I do expect a reaction from him. 2 weeks up at home and all that. But no, we definitely can win.
yeah, yeah. But I think this loss would deflate them quite a bit because they came into the first two games as like the form team.
Yeah.
They really played well. And
Well,
then
these playoffs, it's Olympiacos 6, Panathinaikos 6, PAOK 6, AEK 0 in terms of points.
yeah,
Yep.
but yeah, like the first two games were pretty ordinary, and then we saved our best performance for today. While Bulk were, I haven't watched their games, but coming off two wins, you think they're the form team. Obviously, they are the form team, and then for us to beat them and really contain them was the big thing.
Yeah, exactly that. The defense, we've said in past weeks, now that we've known for a while our season's over, about building for next season. And this is prime evidence of why you need to keep Victoria. And I've said before, like, keep him and find an identity. And this game is the exact identity I want. Be a good defensive team. There's your identity. Don't give up cheap goals. Focus on keeping the opposition scoreless. Keep the goals against down. You put less pressure on your front line. And it's what you said as well, Sturge, efficiency. One chance, one goal. In these derbies, that's exactly what you need. And that's what I want us to be under Victoria. Just a tough nut to crack that's efficient, that does the basics, the fundamentals well. And we saw that today. Full credit to everyone.
Yeah, yeah. And the next game will be against PAOK in Tumba, the 27th, Sunday, 27th of April. That's the local time. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff. For Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, that will be a 3 a.m. London, America. Just check the time zones for that one. Obviously it's basically three finals for us for that all important second spot because what that second spot means is a Champions League qualification. Now, there's an interesting
Mm.
note to make on that Champions League qualification, depending on what happens also in the Greek Cup. If I'm not too sure why this is. I think you can explain it better, Nick. But if Orfi beats Olympiacos in the cup final, we will go into the third round qualification for the Champions League. Is that correct?
Is it that? I thought it was dependent on other leagues, like the Czech league and or Austrian league and a few other leagues.
Yeah, there's something.
There's a scenario though that's apparently it's very very possible where we start when they do the rebalancing. We start from the third round of Champions League qualifying, not the second round. That means we start with the peace of mind. If that happens, we've got the peace of mind of European football in the bag for next season. As a bare minimum, conference will be wrapped. Sorry, Europa would be wrapped up from third round.
Yes.
Europa
We'll be
League
guaranteed
phase,
European football from
yeah,
start before we kick a ball. But I think also we're reliant on the other
Europa.
leagues to based on the seeding. So from memory, if current standings apply in the other leagues, we'll be unseeded in the Champions League round. Whereas if results go away, we can go from unseeded to seeded, which makes our life a hell of a lot easier in that first, qualifying round.
If that third round scenario happens, our season starts in August, early August. I think it's the 7th of August as opposed to like the 22nd of July. Big
Yep.
difference. An extra 2 weeks of preseason as well.
Well, it
And
gives the
then
players some extra weeks in Mykonos, doesn't it?
yeah, but if we do start from that third round, we've said it before on here, two wins, two prokrisis, and you're into the Champions League phase. That's all it takes. Jovanovic almost did it for us with a much weaker team on paper than this current team.
Yep.
I'm not saying we're going to go and do it this time, not at all, but I'm saying it can be done.
Yep.
It just shows that we're building towards something. And that's why we've discussed the importance of Rui staying on, just the significance.
I think we all know it and we all see it. There's it's not a decision-making process based off one or two games. It's decision-making based on longer-term planning. And we can see that if Rui has got the preseason and the transfer signings at his disposal, at his decision-making, then we can build that team. We've got, I think, a core of very good players to build off. Now's the time to give him the opportunity to say, all right, here you go, prove yourself now. You've taken over a shit show from Alonso, from Vamos, and you've managed to achieve what you achieved. All right, now you've got the full season to really prove your ability. And to me, that's logical. To you two boys, it's logical. Let's just see if our friends at the PAO think the same way. And that's our fear, and I think we've all expressed that fear before.
Yeah.
100%. Only at Panathinaikos really is this a discussion. And even at the other clubs in Greece, I don't even think it's a discussion, let alone not non-Greek clubs. Like, we see tangible positives from the guy. He's improved us points-wise. He's moved us up the ladder, and we're sitting here questioning his future at the club. He hasn't even had a full preseason. And as I said, we're seeing positives. The only logical thing would be, even if we finish fourth from here, would be to keep him on.
The only thing I'll say to that, though, Nick, and this is not to defend the PAO or the people in the PAO because they're hopeless, and not everyone. We've got certain departments of the PAO who perform admirably, but let's not
Would that
go
be
there.
marketing?
The marketing politically. So there you go. But look at AEK. Almeida's won him a championship. He's delivered silverware, and yet he's seriously under question now. And Luchescu as well won a championship last year, and yet the talk was if they finish fourth, he's gone as well. So yeah.
Almeida is untenable. It's getting to that untenable stage now. He's had a lot of close calls this season. The time we beat him and in that bombshell press conference after the game and losing to Noah, and for me, they're in a heap of mess.
No European football and still to be performing the way they're performing. Yeah, that's
and the way they're
cool.
going, fourth is a real possibility. And what if Offie win the cup? Then it'd be back-to-back years of no Europe.
Yep. Oh no, they'll make Europe next year regardless.
Not if Offie win the cup and they finish fourth.
Doesn't fourth get you Conference League?
No, not
if Offie win the cup. Look, it's unlikely. Realistically, the Offie won't win the cup, and yes, fourth will get it. But I'm just saying, in the off chance that Offie do win the cup.
Right. So, disaster from one disaster to another, if indeed it plays out that way. And look, we all want Offie to win, so not for AEK's benefit, but for the obvious benefit. It's against our eternal rival.
Correct.
Right. Now, let's touch base. You talked about the core players at Rui's disposal. Now, there's two of my favorite players that are subject to early transfer rumors, an alleged proposal from our good friends in Portugal, this club named Sporting, who was predicting our Hideo all summer with 40, unable to meet the evaluation, have come again, not just for 40, but also via Nidis as well. We slapped a 14 million euro evaluation on Vianidis. They've come with an offer, an alleged, now this is all being played through the media so far, of 30 million combo for 40 and Vianidis. Now, I'm not willing to entertain that offer. That is a really lowball offer. It's expected from the Portuguese club to do that as well. They're known for buying low, selling high. It's how they make a lot of their money. Most of the times their transfers work out well. They've had obviously a few misses, especially from us. They had Alexandropoulos, but wasn't too much of a financial hit. They only got him for what was it, 3.5, 4 million from us. Wasn't that much of a financial hit. This one obviously is a little bit more of a risk from them. But then again, I think Vianidis and Forti in this stage of their career are more ready than what Alexandropoulos was at his stage of his career. But yeah, 30 million for them to no come back. We might have a bit of a conversation if they start hitting 35, 40 million. How do you guys see that transfer talk?
Um, I'm of the school of thought, and I know that it's contrary to what you're saying, Sturge, but uh, it, you want to get the maximum amount possible, and but if there's no other offers or keen interest from other clubs at that level, I'd take it. Is the short summary from my point of view. And you're right in that Foti was valued at 30 million at the end of last season, and there was all those rumours that there was clubs willing to offer that. But after the season that he's had, where he's gone backwards, where as you saw in the game against PAOK, he didn't start. He hasn't been in the starting 11 for the last few games now, from memory. Um, I don't think off the back of his form and considering that he's displayed enough to say that he's definitely worth that 30 million. Um, Part two, I think it was only about a month ago, we were saying that Vagia is probably worth about 10 million, maybe a little bit more, but not that far off it. So if you combine the two, 10 and 20, yeah, they're not absolute top dollar, top of the market, but they're still decent amounts. And are still, if we get 30 million through the door, still gives us plenty of ammunition, even if we spend half of that, to go out and get decent replacements if we can recruit well. Now, there's a big question mark as to who's doing the recruitment, and there's doubts about our ability to do that well. But yeah, 10 and 20 or 30 combined, doesn't matter how the mix is, I'd certainly be seriously consider it.
I think that evaluation of Vainis is wrong. I think that 10 million was the sporting evaluation while we came back and said 14 million. And I think the 14 million is going to be more accurate based on his starting Panathinaikos right back. And I think from now on, he'll probably be
Yeah,
the starting right back for Greece as well. We,
yeah,
we're seeing, we're seeing his performances now. He's more consistent as well. I think a year or two ago, he couldn't cross properly. Like he was shocking with his crosses. Now we're seeing some really good deliveries from him. They're not being overhit. He had like a knack for overhitting it, and he's really refined his game. He's attacking constantly bombing up. He's not really doing those defensive blunders, those slips that he was doing as much anymore. He's becoming more reliable and more consistent. And with that, I see a 10 million just way unders. And for 40, I still think he holds a 25 million. I don't think one season, injuries, coaching, there's a lot of things that didn't go his way. Um, I don't see a drastic drop in his price tag. He's still young. He's still not even coming into his peak age. There's a lot more upside to his game, especially once the off season comes. He can just reset his body and come back into it. And then I think it'll be more accurate to look at how Forty performs next season as compared to just looking at this season. I think there's just been too many the captaincies all given to him that may have played a role in just weighing him down as well. But I wouldn't entertain anything for at least 35, and that's just to have a conversation. I'd be looking at that 40 million as the mark that clubs should be wanting if they want both players. It was just Sporting that wanted that double. Believe Fulham are interested in Vianidis as just a solo. So wait and see what might happen there. How much do they really want Vianidis, essentially? Performances like today did no harm to his chances of
yeah.
getting looked at. He had obviously suitors looking at him against Ake, but have a look at his performance today.
There was talk of scouts in the stand today as well.
Yeah, he,
And
he
fingers
definitely.
crossed, Fulham's seriously interested. So if they can push his price tag up, welcome that.
Yeah, he,
Call
he
me crazy. It's what you said, 40, 45 million if they want both.
Yeah, Vainidis for me will probably be the one that stings a little bit more if we
Yeah,
lose.
yeah,
He's a PAO kid, PAO Academy.
yeah, homegrown.
I think because we've got an adequate replacement in Swiderski, yeah, it's just that whole thing.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
have
we've said it heaps of times, but
to,
Panathafan just said it as well. Do you trust the current decision makers, the current people in charge, to go and recruit a high level, high quality right back? I don't.
no, depends on who's.
That's the whole problem with this. Was the whole thing why we were so defensive? Why us fans? Why we didn't want to sell Foti when we had 30 million offers last season because we didn't trust the club to bring in a good replacement for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Same applies here with Vagianides. I do look. I don't think they're sporting that 30 million. I can't see it happening. I can see Vagianides going where I don't know. It might be Sporting in Portugal. Who knows? My gut feeling tells me he's going to go and Forty will stay.
Yep. And I think that we all agree that Vaini's form has been fantastic, and
Oh,
yeah,
sensation.
I think he had a decent game against Scotland as
Mm.
well. So I think none of us was surprised for him to go at a decent price for that very reason. And yeah, I agree with you, Sturge. His departure will hurt and sting more, without a question.
yeah. Now there is another player, and you did talk about him, Panathafan, that has been under scrutiny. Now the scrutiny has been from within the club and within the bowl media. Depends on which faction, because there's a pro Alafusos paper side. There's more neutral, more independent people like our friend Foros that reports the news, but there's been within that Fool's media hacks, as I want to call them, um, subjected attacks on Tete. You know, he's not really living up to the hype, the price tag. Now, I definitely don't agree with him. While he's had hot and cold moments, let's not sugarcoat. Today, coming off the bench, there was two, one actual moment, really a big moment where he just played the wrong pass. He tried the impossible pass when he could have played Vainivis on his right. It was just really a brain fade. We've seen him miss chances, but he's had really big moments for us. He's especially in Europe, he's had the biggest moments this season for us. We've seen it against the first day against Fiorentina. We've seen it with Ajax away. We saw it with Lens as well. Very important games, things that have boosted our profile again as a club in Europe, albeit through the Conference League. It's boosting the profile a bit. We're back in that whole Europe. It was our first adventure back in Europe after X amount of years. He was pretty much the centerpiece for that. There was no other player that has performed as well in Europe as Tete. So for those hacks to come, you know, just little jabs, little things, there's talks that Papa Jim is gonna look to offload him. There's interest in him. Let's see. Anything less than because we got him what, 6.5 million?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
7 million. There's talks that offers might come up to. Was he's relatively young as well,
Mm.
24?
Mm. Yeah, 20,
Yeah.
mid early 20s. Yeah.
Yeah, there's talks about they can get offers up to 15 million. Now, that's obviously one, let's have a look at that. But I don't think an offer of that high will come for him, but there is suggestion that a couple of the like that Papa Zim guy, the spreadsheet guy, um, yeah, master of the Excel spreadsheet, and he's got Chat GPT now to use for some formulas as well to just help him as well. But he's just, yeah, I think it's nonsense. I think on his day, that can be a game breaker. Obviously, Pelistri and Jurisic have been favored now. Obviously, we saw Pelistri couldn't break into the team because Tete was favored and Jurisic. So it's interchangeable. So I think Tete does have a future with us. As a fan, I see it, but the lackeys and the hacks might get their way.
But I think of it right now, and I've said it to both you boys, outside of this podcast, that right now, Jurisic and Pelistri is the better combo. And today demonstrated that. But we can't use one or two games as the benchmark or as the sample to make a case on.
No.
It's a long season. You got a squad for that reason. Pelistri has had several injuries that's kept him out of that squad, and that there has, as you said, proven to be valuable in key matchups. So we're not going to make a judgment call on that there off the back of his form in the last two games.
Yeah.
When Pelistri right now, yep, okay, yeah, starting 11, no argument there for me. But he hasn't always been there, willing and able.
I'm even going to add to your point. It's then look who the alternatives are that will come off the bench. Mancini, Limnios. I think Mancini for me is completely gone. I think we've pretty much seen the last of him. Limnios got favoured today and got minutes. I think Mancini now is an afterthought.
Yep. Well, there was a rumor that he's been getting interest from clubs from Russia again, and his agent's working overtime to get some offers through. So let's wait and see.
Yeah, we'd have to accept 1 mil, 2 mil, just take it.
Agree.
But yeah, I really hope that their news is rubbish.
And he's saying that though, and this is the question I ask myself, if we get an offer for 15 million for that there, would you
You
take
beat
it?
me to it. Yeah, you beat me to it. Of course I would.
Yeah, you'd have to see if Limnios and Mancini do go as well.
Because
They'll-
we've got Pelistri on the right, Zuri sits on the left, and the problem, the depth.
The depth because we know that Mancini is being shopped around by his agent, and there was talks a few months ago, unofficially, that Aris might target Limnios. Aris have come out and recently said they're looking to bring in a few more Greeks into their squad. Rumors to bring in Diodis, and obviously I didn't read I only read Diodis, the former Aris and PAO keeper, but it wouldn't surprise me if they want to look at Limnios as well. And I think they can get him on the cheap from us. I don't think it'd cost
Mm,
that much, to be honest.
no. Look,
They
with
had my
that there,
blessing.
yeah, with that there, the media outlets haven't really reported anything. So
Yeah.
let's just wait and see. Look, I can't see him going. That's what you said, in the off chance, if we do get a crazy offer, 15 million, of course we're going to take it, but I can't see him. I think he'll be here next season.
Yeah, yeah. But the only thing that's working against him is he hasn't really stayed at a single club for
No,
long. He's
no.
bounced.
But with that there, we hold all the power
Yeah, but
in terms of bargaining and fee and all that.
he's bounced around what? Leicester, Fenerbahce, was it
Shakhtar, Leon, was it Leon?
Yep.
a French club? Yeah, I think it was a French.
Leon, Shakhtar, Galatasaray.
Was it Galatasaray? Yeah, Galatasaray, not Fenerbahce.
Yeah,
So we've seen that he hasn't really been settled in a club. Now, I don't know if I don't think it's a personality clash. I really don't think so. I think it's got maybe more to do with just those issues that we've seen with Unahi, that consistency. I think that's been more of the case.
But at 24, or assuming he's 24 or thereabouts, and for what is achieved on the European scene for us in one season, we should not be surprised that there would be interest in it. Like if Vayanidi and Foti are getting interest at those amounts we've talked about, and Tete is pretty much the same age, and he's proven himself at a high level, why wouldn't he get interest?
but even before he joined us, he scored against Real Madrid in the Champions League.
Yep.
Yeah.
This Conference League for him this season was like a little playground, nothing in comparison.
But that was his ability, or the stage for him to show off his
Yeah.
his ability, right? So, and he's done it. it's just a question of whether the suitors are going to take note and then come offering something. Look, I think irrespective, there's been no official rumors or talk of offers, so it may be just a waste of time talking about it. But I'm keen to see how it unfolds, and I'll bring it back to what you said, Sturge, about Papa Dimitriou and the issues or challenges they have. I wonder how much of a role that plays, if any.
Yeah, yeah. He has been his year to year bouncing around clubs have been more on loans out of Shakhtar. I think that might be impacted by what's happening in Ukraine. But that's been the thing. He's been just pretty much on loan every club except for Galatasaray, where he was only there 1 year.
Yep.
So, and he's 25 years old. He just turned 25. So, yeah. Um, that's on deck there. Now we'll change gears now or shift directions. We'll talk about now the BC. So we'll start with the recent game against Red Star Belgrade. It was the final match day for the Euroleague. Now there was a lot to play for from not us, was we pretty much secured that top three, but it had more to do with who our opponents would be depending on results. Um, we eventually got there versus Red Star, courtesy of overtime, 111 to 104. Again, Kendrick Nunn, stellar performance, 31 points. He took out the award for the top scorer of the EuroLeague. Sorry about that. We saw Juancho have a huge game himself. Um, contributing a double double, 18 points, 11 rebounds, and Gabriel. That's not someone you'd think comes up huge. He came up huge in overtime for us. So, um, he really killed it in overtime. So, with that, what that means, us beating a Red Star and how the rest of the results went. Now, Ataman said that there was one team he did not want to play, and that was FS. And by our luck, FS finished sixth, and we did get FS. So in about 8, 9 days' time, so the 22nd of April local time, which will be the 23rd in Australia, um, will be the opening game against FS in the best of five series. So we'll have home court advantage in that. So the opening two games will be in Greece. So very important against a tricky opposition coming up to the playoffs. Now, in between that, tomorrow morning we do have Betty Steady as well for game two of the Greek League. Um, that one should be a easy win, you would assume. So, but obviously you can't take anything for granted as well. Now there was a bit of other big news that came out as well, in the basketball. Now it's gone viral now. There's going to be another song played, one of our favorites, one of his favorites.
I know the song. We can't hear it. That's all.
Oh, you can't hear it?
Yeah, I
Nah,
can't
but
hear that.
I know the exact song though.
I was playing Deta Pas Puthena, song very close to Kendrick Nunn, especially the way that DPG sings it and players and himself in the club or at the Bazooka. So Kendrick Nunn has formally put pen to paper on a 3-year deal. Um, I think it was rumored that like what 14 million or something like that. Not sure of the exact financial figure, but it's around that ballpark figure. But he has put pen to paper, which is a monster achievement. He's probably in terms of Panathinaikos as a foreigner coming to the club, he's probably the second biggest foreigner to come to the club. I'll have Dominic Wilkins as the top foreigner based on name, achievement, what he did in the NBA. But Kendrick Nunn comes as a talented player. He played for LA Lakers. He played for um, Miami Heat, where he got drafted. So he's played with some of the best players as well. And yeah, to have him in his prime come to us and really light up the EuroLeague, he's we've seen him. He's just won, and I think he's the first Panathinaikos player as well, to win that. Um, to win
Oh,
the
the leading point scorer.
point scorer. So it's really, really, really good. Really big as well. So yeah, it's a big win, and
But
DPG did say that if you want to win and be the best team, you got to have the best players, and he's got the best player in the EuroLeague. I've got no doubt he is the best and biggest player in the EuroLeague, and yeah, there's no doubt about it. And obviously, if you follow DPG stories, he's obviously put a story like, hoping to bring Nikola Jokic over. Now, that would be just like absolutely crazy. Very, 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 very unlikely. But if DPG pushes and tries everything in power, you just who knows how, the trela bottleneck piaci.
it's interesting you mentioned Dominic Wilkins, and for an older person like myself, the human highlight reel is arguably in the top 50 NBA players of all time, and he is. YouTube's full of some amazing dunking and play highlights of the man. Um, Still to this day, I yeah, gives me goosebumps thinking about the player, the man, the name that it was that came to the Panathinaikos in the mid 90s. So I don't think anything's ever surpassed that, and
He's
I think it's going to be very hard to ever surpass that.
he was
But
a
then
figure as well in winning us the EuroLeague.
yeah, no, he won us the EuroLeague, and he was a key part of that run. Um, and for that reason, it's forever going to leave that legacy. And he's still to this day, whilst he's got many NBA highlights and memorable achievements. The fact that he still talks about Panathinaikos as a very fond memory of his, it really loves seeing it and hearing it. But then the question becomes of between him, Dominic Wilkins, and Kendrick Nunn. It'll be interesting to see once Kendrick Nunn's career is over, who leaves a bigger legacy for our club, and that's what's the most important here. And that's where I think Kendrick Nunn has got the ability to leave a much bigger legacy as a foreign player than any other foreign player we ever had, including Dominic Wilkins. And that's what I'm most keen to see and look forward to, especially considering that he doesn't seem to be slowing down. If anything, he seems to be getting more and more comfortable in playing the EuroLeague.
Yeah, look, Dominic Wilkins did come 2 years, and he was at the end of his career, while Kendrick Nunn has come more into his prime, and he's obviously this is year two for him, and it will probably end up with, we know, maybe 5 years if he stays out the full 3 years. So it'd be, yeah, a very good debate whether, obviously, Dominic Wilkins will forever be the bigger name, but you're right. Who leaves the biggest legacy? Now, if we win in this period another one, two EuroLeagues, you'd have to point at Kendrick Nunn.
Yep, yep. Oh, without doubt.
Yeah.
And you boil it down to success and trophies. And that's if he wins one more, that's it. He's surpassed Dominic Wilkins in terms of those achievements. And if he can do it this year, back to back, then absolutely he's already ahead of just about anyone else in the short time he's been here. But
Yeah.
if I bring it back to Sturge, what you're saying about the playoffs, I think let's not get too ahead of ourselves here because FS are going to be very, very tough. I think they've won the last 7 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. They've had great form and a great run leading into the playoffs, and I think that Ataman's got 2 reasons why I didn't want him. One, from an emotional point of view, having formerly coached them, and they're having ties with him. But on the other side, it's just their form. It's strong. And I think Shane Larkin's back for him as well, which is not a good thing for us anyway.
Yeah, he's definitely their threat, their best player. But I think they've got a big out in Elijah Bryant. I think I saw something he might be out, injury, something like that. So
Mm. Yeah.
they've also got Poirier, the former Real Madrid center, who was a physical thing, and Dozier, who's got NBA experience as well. So um
The,
it,
the other concern, though, is, and we've called this out in previous podcasts, as have the Americans as well, is that we're not winning in a dominant fashion. And with Red Star, we went to overtime and we could easily have lost it. So, it against a weaker team, and I'm not saying Red Star's a weak team, far from it, but they're not top 4, and yet we scraped it through in overtime. That's concerning.
Yeah. Well, there's an interesting thing about the EuroLeague playoffs, and I think it goes to this format, which has been the last 10 years or so, that first seed has not won it.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
Olympiacos,
Remember last season.
yeah,
Remember we were saying it this time last year with Madrid.
and Real Madrid cruised as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, Olympiacos scraped to get the first because they
yeah.
almost choked it. So if you look at historical. Doesn't, it's a little bit of a bogey to finish first. Historically, you're looking at the last 10 odd years.
Mm. It's
And
yeah. We said it last year. Just get in that final four. Just get in the top 4, anywhere in the 4,
You get the
which
home.
we did. Which we did. Yeah, you get the home court advantage.
Yeah.
if we get into the Final Four again this year, then chances are Olympiacos will as well. It could be an all Greek final.
Fine. Yeah, I don't. We yeah. Well, we can't get them in the semis.
Yeah. Correct.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're on opposite side of the field.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So the basketball is really now gonna crank up a lot,
Yeah.
especially more in the EuroLeague. The quarterfinals, semifinals in the Greek league. You kind of expect Panathinaikos and Olympiacos to just cruise past the opposition until they meet each other in the final. But EuroLeague now proper starts now. The physicality, the the intense crowd, home and away. That's when it really fires up.
And if I recall last year against Maccabi in the playoffs before the Final Four, we were there was a game 5 it went to, and even in game 5, it was halfway during that game where it looked like we were going to lose. So, and we ended up winning the whole thing, but there's no easy ride right now, and this is where it's going to be interesting to see how the players step up.
Yeah, yeah, correct. Whichever team can shut out the noise, the home noise, really. That's who progresses. But yeah, apart from that, obviously that's gonna come more towards the end of the pod. Now, the picture I've got today is a celebration to Leto, the great man, Panathinaikos man, the Gavro killer. Once again, little dagger at Olympiacos, but indirectly, he beat Kalamata as a coach of Kifisiao 1-0 away. Um, there is obviously links between Olympiacos and Kalamata, but Leto does it again to them. So, and he's made a major stride for their return to the Super League. Now, I know we're going a little bit back to the soccer. do you see Leto as a future coach of Panathinaikos, or does it depend
Yeah.
on what he does with Kifisia come next season in the Super League? And they do all right, like admirably. If he survives with them, do you see him future coach?
Not in the immediate, like 1 to 2 years, but later down the track, absolutely. Probably you'd have to go from Kifisia to somewhere else, and then Panathinaikos, and that somewhere else could be outside of Greece, for all I care. But yeah, one day, but without a doubt, I think, oh yeah, I'd be confident and say, yeah, at some stage he's going to coach us.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
Needs to prove himself first.
yeah. Even I don't think he might go outside of Greece. I think he could even take over like a one of those mid-table battling teams like Atromitos, Asteras, Tripolis, something like that. Something with a little bit more pedigree would be a good test for him as well. But yeah, I think he's doing the right moves. He's won promotion or almost won promotion in his first year as coach. So um, yeah, there's obviously the fans would love to see him at some point take the reins. But yeah, I don't think the time is now, especially with Vittoria there doing what he's doing. Um, but yeah, would love to see Leto at some point. But also Nick, great picture that you've got, especially in Nunn attending the game this morning with Gabriel and
Had to be done.
partner. Yeah, obviously we saw Nunn getting presented with a FC jersey, and you see his
Yeah,
partner, who there was obviously was it last year those conversations that she didn't want to stay in Greece. She looks like she's loving it. Got herself a scarf, and now has got 3 years more in Greece, so living the dream.
he got his way, didn't he?
Of course, he's secured himself. He's got the secured himself financially. 3 years. I don't think he was going to get an offer like that in the
No, and
NBA.
it's everything that comes with it, being the main man as opposed to just any random squad player, and probably above all for these guys, I guess the lifestyle. The lifestyle he's going to live in Athens. He's not going to live that anywhere else on the planet.
It's not just that. I think with the NBA as well, it's a little bit more cutthroat if you're not one of those core starting seven, those the 7, 8 rotated players. If you're outside of that, you're very likely going to be cut. So you don't want to live that kind of with that kind of life where you could get cut, you could get tapped, you're being waived, or we're cutting you for bringing up a G League player. So I think a lot of those factors weighed in for him as well. That 3 year getting paid, and then yeah, and
You,
obviously
you were saying he's even got his own store, online store.
Yep.
he does, man.
Yeah, he's
That
got money coming in from all angles to make up for any NBA offers.
yeah,
But his ego would be getting the biggest boost when
That's what I mean. In
but
Greece,
talk
because he's
about
the main man.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But the
yeah.
good thing about his store is at least he ships internationally. It's unlike
Unlike the club.
BC shop where
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
they only send domestically, and I've already emailed them and I've had conversations with them about that. It's just brain dead, really. Then they're really limiting themselves. They want to be a global team, a European team, with just isolating their store just to domestically, and it's just dumb. It's I'm happy to pay whatever the flights and that the PAO FC they charge X amount. Like I'm happy to pay that air freight just to ship a BC jersey.
Well, the FC does more than the BC then. Imagine. That's saying something.
Yeah, and the PAO BC jerseys the last 2 years have been really good as well. And
Big,
his
big demand.
it's just frustrating that they've built a nice app as well for the BC, and it's just not really open for a global global.
But they've got plenty of time to get jerseys printed with Nunn's name on it and get the players there and have 5 or 6 kids, work experience kids with their phones filming it for the para camera videos to put on YouTube. And go, look at us. We are the marketing experts, but they can't bloody send us a jersey when we want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry,
Too
I've
hard
had this rant
basket.
before. I'll stop.
Too hard basket.
Yeah, it's just and they can probably make profit as well by sending it overseas as well. Just
With the success of the basketball, they can charge essentially whatever they like.
but it's not just that. And they're playing the Final Four this year in Abu Dhabi. You're opening yourself up to another market in the Arabs if we go that deep. And by closing your store domestically, instead of being a team that might make this the Final Four, it's just like, oh, you just like can't understand why.
So when I go to Greece for holidays, and it's not often, but when I do, and I go visit my aunties, and they go, "Why don't you come to Greece more often?" And I'll say to my aunties and uncles, "Yeah, I can't. I've got work, I've got commitments, family, this and that." Then I say to them, "Why don't you come to Australia to visit
Thank you.
me?" And
Thank
and,
you.
and their
Oh,
response, "Op, op, op,
too
op,
hard.
op, Polymakria."
Yeah.
Oh, it's like
Yeah.
we live in another planet. That's the
They
marketing
expect
team
us
from the
to
PAO.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I still missed enough Salia. Oh, I was sent to Australia. The post office doesn't exist in Australia. That's how they think.
But you think with Nunn being the face of the team, you'd open up the American market about that. It's just
That's actually a good point. I'm thinking very Australian focus, obviously, because we live here. But yeah, in the US, same hemisphere. I'm assuming it's 8 hour flight to the US. I don't know from Greece, but
New York.
it can't be like
Probably.
us, 20 hours,
Yeah,
22
from
hours.
Athens to New York,
Probably.
7, 8 hours, I think.
Yeah.
Imagine that's the dream. And imagine us if we had that.
Yeah, yeah,
But that speaks to our commitment, Nick, when we've got games at 2 a.m. and they're like, and not it's like criticism of anyone, but this shows that we're still willing to buy the jerseys and support the club, notwithstanding the time distance between the two countries.
Definitely.
yeah. All right, gents. I've got nothing further to add from my end. Do you guys have anything you want to raise? Anything discussion points?
No, just go for it in the basketball, and it's going to crunch times here. We're at the business end, and keep going in the FC. As we said, one more win's going to seal it. Galo Basca again, and fair play to Sebastian Leto.
Yeah, yeah. There is
That's about
obviously,
it.
one
So
more new,
we'll be back in a fortnight, I'd imagine.
in a fortnight. Yeah, there will be one more news, but it's something to keep an eye out on. We won't discuss it as a topic today, but it's around the amateur club, Panathinaikos, regarding the election. So obviously, Alafouzos has thrown his name as well into the ring. It's something to keep an eye out on. Wait until the elections, and there'll be a discussion for obviously next time. Something that to keep an eye out on. The disharmony that may cause.
Mm.
Apart from that, thank you, gents. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Carlo Pasca as well. To our followers, Carlo Pasca. If you celebrate Easter, if you don't, can't help you there. Gents, pleasure.